was shown a video on this boy named Zach Sobiek. Zach Sobiek was a 17-year-old with cancer. I watched a video that showed what he did with his last final months and the message that he told everybody. His message was, you don't have to learn you're going to start you don't have to learn you're going to die to start living. In the video it showed that he played lots of music and he really turned to music for support in his last few months. So at the end I will play one of his most famous songs, Clouds. Okay, this video really inspired me, and so I started reading some books, some newspaper articles, watching some movies, watching some videos, researching some organizations, and I eventually was able to narrow down my project to this one question. What's it like to work with chronically and terminally ill children? Now, while reading one of the newspaper articles, I found out about this man named Dr. Hurwitz. And Dr. Hurwitz was the director of pediatric and palliative medicine at Dell Children's Medical Center. So what he did is he worked with kids who were dying and severely ill. So that was really cool that I got to talk to him and ask him this question, what's it like to work with chronically and terminally ill children? He told me that it was very rewarding because you were really helping the world and helping the people at the hospital. And he said that it was really amazing and inspiring when these kids got better and happy, but of course it didn't always get better, and that was kind of sad. But talking with Dr. Hurwitz was really cool. I interviewed him for over like 3 hours at a coffee shop, and that was really cool to be able to talk to him for a long time. And I learned a lot of definitions of terms after my interview with Dr. Hurwitz. I learned what palliative means, which means comfort directed. I learned what pediatric and palliative medicine means, and that is specialized care for children with serious illnesses or an end of life. I learned what end of life was, and end of life is a term that refers to health care, not only in the patients of the final hours of their lives, but more broadly care of all those with terminal illnesses. I'll be using the phrase end of life similar in my presentation. And I learned what hospice was, and that's where someone goes when they're severely sick or dying. I actually had a chance to go to Hospice Austin, and I will talk about that later on. But I also encountered some problems. I found out that I couldn't be with the kids that had terminal illnesses because the doctors had them under such special care that it would go against the rules of the care to talk to them, and they weren't allowed to give away their personal information in those. And you had to be 18 or older to volunteer and help these kids, so I kind of ran into some obstacles because my main focus for this project was working with terminally ill kids and finding out what it's like to know you're going to die. But I had to kind of tweak my project and direct it more to the doctors. But Dr. Hurwitz did introduce me to this woman named Dr. Anna Case. And she was director at Hospice Austin and worked at Dell Children's Medical Center on a team with Dr. Hurwitz and some other people. I'll talk about the team at Dell Children's Hospital later. But I asked her what it's like to work with chronically and terminally ill children, and she told me about the same answer, that it's very rewarding and that people really liked working with these kids because they hadn't drank some adults might have been in there because they drank too much or smoked too much or ate too much, but these kids were just in there because they were just unfortunate people because they hadn't really had time to really affect their bodies too much, most cases. And so it really was cool to talk to her too. But I also started talking to some of my mom's friends and some of their friends, and I eventually got in touch with this girl named Catherine, who was a 17-year-old at Westlake. Catherine stopped counting at 8 chronic illnesses. She had the bones of an 80-year-old, so she couldn't dance or skate. She had a bunch of other symptoms. I'm only going to name a few. Her hands would swell sometimes from one of her illnesses. And the medications that she took made her drowsy and not be able to function properly, so she couldn't always go to all of her classes. And she couldn't go to classrooms that were too far away from the bathroom. didn't go and ask her too much about that because I could tell it was kind of private. But I also met with Rachel, who was a social worker on a team with Dr. Hurwitz and Dr. Case, the two I talked about earlier. And they had Tandy, who was a nurse practitioner. And a nurse practitioner is a nurse, but she has the same abilities as a doctor, so she can like prescribe medicines. She's basically a doctor that can do the same things as a nurse. And they also had another person on their team, but she was on maternity leave. But Rachel was a social worker, so her job was like to tell the families and the kids and their brothers and sisters what was going on. And she was the one who was always there for the kids and their families if they had anything going on, like with the emotionally. So she was the one that really talked to them, and she created these bonds with the kids and their families. So she really was really close to these families, and it was pretty. She said that sometimes her work and her personal life would like hit together because like it's kind of hard to shake off someone dying right after you really got to know them and be with them. But I also went to this part of Dell Children's Hospital called the Children's Blood and Cancer Center, and that's where kids go when they get chemotherapy, which is a treatment for cancer. I met with Cindy, who is Director of Social Workers. As you can see in the top right, that's a place where they go when that's the place they go when they're sick. So it's like a checkup room, and they're sponsored by the company. That's one name, ice cream. But Cindy showed me how they gave the kids medicine and drugs to help them with their cancer and their blood disease. And so she showed me that it was medicine hooked up to a tube, hooked up to a little needle that was under the kid's skin, and it was like a port that transmitted the blood throughout the, medicine throughout the blood system. So that was pretty cool that I got to see that, and that's how she shows the kids what they're doing. That's how they show the parents how to do it to the kids at home if they want to go home. So I went to Hospice Austin. Like I said, that was the place where people go when they're severely sick or dying. And I met with this woman named Molly, who was the social worker there. And Molly did counseling, so you can see in the top right corner that's a counseling room she was in. But so when I tell you guys that it's a place where people go when they're dying or severely ill, you may think it's like a sad place, but it was super happy. This was the Christopher branch, and it had, the outside had fountains and murals, and the counseling room, stained glass, pretty cool. The inside was like bright and happy. The people there that worked there were always really supportive and open to the patients. And they asked one of the patients a while back what they missed most about not having the illness, and they said now that nobody would hold their hand. And now that's like their motto, that here you'll always have someone that will hold your hand. So they came in, they got an artist to come in and got handprints of all the patients there at the time. That was really cool to be able to go to Hospice Austin. I caught a few glimpses of the patients there at the time, but they weren't really able to show me. But, so for my final thoughts, I realized that I was left with a lot more questions than answers. I came into the project with one question and came out with the answer I was looking for, but I also came out with a lot more unanswered questions, like my original question, what's it like to know you're going to die? Or what's it like to have these diseases? And I wish I really could have interacted with the kids and interviewed them. But it made me think a little bit about like helping kids as a profession, so that was pretty cool. But now I'll play Zach's song. It has 10 million hits on YouTube, and I'll point out a few people.
Did you meet him?